Hi BookTube, it's Peg. I am back at the History Shelf. Today we have a book review. I'll be reviewing A Quiet Cadence, a novel by Mark Treanor. Pardon the glare. This is put out by Naval Institute Press. It is brand new this year. I believe this is Mr. Treanor's first novel. If I'm wrong about that, I apologize, but wow, what can I say about this book? Earlier this year I read The Things They Carried by Tim O'Brien, and I did a book review on that, and how moving I found that book, but also a little bit of the confusion I felt about, was it memoir, was it fiction, was it real, was it a mixture of both? And A Quiet Cadence is it's staged as purely fiction, but reading it you have to wonder how much of the author's experiences in the war, he's a Vietnam vet, played into the scenarios and the scenes. Mark Treanor, he's a Naval Academy graduate, and he was a Marine rifle platoon leader in Vietnam, and an artillery battery commander, and then I think he's working in the civilian sector now. But A Quiet Cadence really surprised me. And I'd like to see more attention paid to this book because of the simple, understated, yet elegant writing that Mark Treanor brings to this story. It's a story about a 19-year-old Marty McClure who signs up to become a Marine and go to Vietnam in 1969. The novel itself is about 370 odd pages, and it covers essentially about a year of his service. Now, I want to be really careful in my review that I don't give away too many things. I really am urging a lot of you who are interested in really on point war fiction and military fiction to read this book. I guarantee you, I really feel like you are going to love this book, and I don't say that lightly. Earlier, like I said, I talked about the Tim O'Brien book and how I was a little confused about he was kind of not being clear about memoir or fiction. Now this is a fiction story, but yet it reads so real, and these characters in here, the friends that Marty McClure makes in his Bravo company, it follows them as they are sent out into the jungle to push forward and find an enemy that keeps on just disappearing, just dissipating like fog into the jungle. And they're pushing forward to find a very important location that their leaders tell them that they need to find. I think like a major HQ or staging area of the enemy. And over half the novel takes place out in the bush, out in the jungle. And I'm going to tell you right now, this was some of the most searing, visceral, gut-churning battle narrative that I've ever read. And I've read a lot of stuff. I've read a lot of war fiction, military historical fiction, but this one had me white-knuckling my chair. I couldn't stop reading. I could not stop turning these pages. That happens so rarely for me these days when I'm reading things. You really become, close to these characters, and you're seeing things through Marty's eyes as a young man, and you're seeing all the different, men that are around him, different races, different backgrounds, social classes, and how they're all interacting with one another in situations of extreme duress. And it's just the realness of this book and the human interactions with each other, and also with the Vietnamese people that they come across in the villages, the ambivalent feelings, wanting to help but also not trusting, and seeing them as are you the enemy? Are you hiding the Viet Cong? Are you setting traps? Are you playing both sides of the field? And whose side are you on? Mark Treanor really goes to the heart of the inner conflicts that come with war. And again, the battle scenes were just relentless. I think that's the best word I can describe. It's compulsively readable, this book. Again, half the book is, over half the book is his experiences, Marty McClure's experiences out in the jungle with his fellow company. And as you're reading it, you're just like, oh God, what next? Oh God, what next? Because it keeps coming. It never lets up. And this is what these men experienced, what they saw, what they felt. And it almost got to the point, again, I was white knuckling the book, but I couldn't stop reading it, And then the second half of the book looks at the rest of Marty's life, for the most part, as he ages into an older man. And then the compromises he had to make coming back, his ambivalent feelings about the war and was it worth it, and the people I lost, the friends I lost. The way society received him. There were moments in the book where I just got so angry, He's wounded and he's coming home and he's wearing his uniform, and it's obvious that he's wounded, and he's going through the airport and he sees three pretty girls, college girls, coming towards him, and he's thinking, and they start looking at him and kind of talking to one another, and he's thinking, oh wow, pretty girls, I haven't seen them in a while, and maybe they'll say something nice, and instead they flip him the bird and something like that. And it's just like, and I'm sure stuff like that happened in different forms and stuff. Obviously, we know that a lot of the returning Vietnam vets were castigated by society, and it's always angered me. The anti-war people who, you can be anti-war, but be caring and appreciative of the people who wore the uniform, who bled, who saw their brothers and sisters bleeding on the field, to give the proper respect for that. So Mark Treanor really captured that. And I felt it deeply as I was reading this novel. And then it goes into, he's trying to find his way through the world, visiting old friends that he just cannot connect with anymore, civilians, because they're living in this atmosphere in the 70s of, oh, did you kill a lot of people over there, and baby killers and all this kind of crap that they had to deal with coming back. And then he's trying to get a teaching job, and he's having to make compromises because some people in positions of power held anti-war views, and do you hide your background being in the military? I mean, there's just so many instances of the difficulties that returning soldiers from the Vietnam War had to deal with. And it makes for a thoughtful, sorry, that was my dog sneezing. It makes for a thoughtful exercise in thinking about how we treat our vets who have been in war and in battle, whether it's Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan, things like that. Most recently. I can also say there were several points in the book where I was tearing up, and at the end I was definitely, I had some tears running down my face. Mark Treanor has just written such a beautifully moving novel. I wish I could say it as eloquently as he has written it. But I really love this book. I've never been this impressed by a first-time war fiction book in years. This was highly impressive. Again, I wasn't going into it. I was like, okay, I'll check it out, but I did not expect it to have such a profound impact on me. And I can only just recommend this to the highest degree to anyone who's interested in reading a very good novel about a soldier in Vietnam, what it was like for him coming back, how he dealt with his ghosts, how he dealt with, survivor's guilt, how he tried to make peace, and the peace was often fleeting. He does come into contact later on in his civilian life with some former soldiers that he knew from his unit, who also try to help him through, just his feelings of anger, and not just anger at society, but anger at his government. Like, did you throw our lives away? It was Marty McClure to me is a very real person. He sounds like, Joe Everyman, and his feelings I could relate with. I could relate to all of them. Not having been in combat, of course, but I could see where he was feeling and thinking the things that he was. So, Mark Treanor puts you right there. And I felt like I was walking this journey with Marty McClure. And anyway, I can only just give this 5 stars. Only. I would give it more. I hope Mark Treanor, if he has an inkling to maybe write another book, that would be fabulous. But wow, to me this one is just a gem. This is a home run, and I have it on my shelf in my bedroom. It's a keeper. I'm keeping this book. I am going to reread it, and it's definitely going to be in my collection of the best writing and fiction writing on Vietnam. So, A Quiet Cadence, a novel by Mark Treanor, Naval Institute Press. I can link their webpage below, but you can, of course, buy it on Amazon, anywhere else. Ask your library for it. I really highly recommend this book, you guys. I think you will love it. Anyway, thank you, Mr. Treanor, for writing such a fabulous book. I highly enjoyed it, and I'm recommending to all of my, my fellow readers out there who enjoy just searingly honest war fiction, with elements of hope and redemption as well mixed in. So it's not completely all darkness. It's not at all. It's not at all. This book makes you kind of believe in humanity again, even when you see humanity at its worst. So that's quite an accomplishment. So again, so thrilled with this book, and I'll leave it there. A Quiet Cadence, a novel by Mark Treanor. And until next time, Book 2, we'll talk soon. Bye-bye.